8 o'clock hour of the Sunrise Show on a Tuesday morning. It's also a KGW weather impact alert day as we take a live look all around the area by way of 4 different sky cams, one in Portland, one in Salem, one in Vancouver, and the other in the Cascades. Again, this is a weather impact alert day. Second day in a row. We have another one coming up tomorrow. I'm Drew Carney. China Green has the day off, but I am not alone. We have team coverage right there on your screen. Libby Dowsett and Thomas Schultz in the middle. They're going to cover what's happening on the ground today. They're out in the elements for us. But before we get to those reports, how about an update on the weather forecast from Chris McGinnis?
I'm going to cover what's coming out of the sky. And check this out. Over the last, since yesterday morning, since the rain started, unofficially Castle Rock on the I-5 corridor up in Cowlitz County has picked up close to more than 5 inches of rain now. PDX has picked up almost 2.4 inches of rain, and a solid inch of that has fallen just since midnight. So the roads this morning are wet, really wet. Obviously, you need to watch out for standing water on the roads. Heavy rain continues this morning, although it is beginning to dial back in intensity just a little bit. And I think, at least for this morning, that's a sign of some things to come, as we may get a little break in the action before the next system comes in later this afternoon and this evening. The yellow indicative of rainfall rates on the order of a tenth to 0.15 of an inch per hour, which that doesn't sound impressive except for the fact that it's been raining at those rates for hours. And therein lies the reason for all those really big rainfall totals that we've seen so far. We're in the upper 40s right now. Temperatures will actually be a little cooler this morning than yesterday. The breeze has also shifted around to the north. Later today, the wind shifts to the south. The temperatures come up as the next surge of moisture comes in. We'll take a look at that with Futurecast in just a few minutes. But first, a look at the roads. And again, they are as wet as they can be. That's I-205 near Johnson Creek Boulevard. The left-hand side of your screen is the northbound commute. ODOT has had numerous reports of standing water along the drive there. Meanwhile, your trip in from Wilsonville is up to about 45 minutes. Your trip in from Highway 26 eastbound, that is from Hillsborough, is now about a 35-minute ride. And both the bridges out of Clark County, the Glenn Jackson and the Interstate Bridge, are running slow, as they should this morning. Folks taking it a little slower in the rain. Drew, it's going to be a slog to get to work today.
Well, we'll stick with the traffic theme here and the conditions on the road, Chris, because Sunrise reporter Thomas Schultz has been keeping an eye out for trouble spots this morning. He joins us live in Vancouver. Are you still in Vancouver, Thomas, or are you somewhere else at this point?
We're moving around, Drew. We are on I-205 now, close to the Abernathy Bridge at this point. And I'll tell you what, Chris has been telling us all about kind of slow traffic throughout the morning. We're seeing some of that here too, going away from Portland. We're heading south here near the Abernathy Bridge. Look, it's been all morning long, especially as we get into those morning commute hours here in the 8 o'clock hour. Yes, it's slow, but it's slower than it probably normally would be here going in this direction. Everybody taking it nice and slow here near the Abernathy Bridge, heeding to those warnings about all the rain that's been coming down overnight since yesterday morning, really. Look, we've seen rain and trouble spots all throughout our area. I want to show you some footage here that we captured earlier this morning. This is from photographer Eric Patterson here, showing a PBOT worker who's trying to and was successful and able to unclog a draining area and try to get some of this water down a drain. But that's at Southwest 1st in Arthur in downtown Portland. When we were there this morning, about 5 o'clock this morning, there's about 3 inches of water just pooling in that area, even coming up onto the sidewalk. So a really big trouble spot. And look, that was one they solved, but these are going to pop up all throughout our area. The Red Cross has some tips as well for drivers in conditions like we're going to see today and really through a lot of midweek here. They say it's important to have supplies in your car. First aid kits are good to have. Emergency radios are important. Water and non-perishable items are some of the best things, then most important things to have as well, along with jumper cables. Those are things, if you do stall out, if your car does have problems, important to have. Coming back out here live, just off to the side here of I-205. I'm going to try to pan to the left here just a little bit. You can see just water kind of trickling over to the side. Not so bad right now, but again, it's just kind of at a trickle at this point in time. But look, all throughout the morning, we've been driving around all morning long. There are times when it's kind of drizzling. There are times when it's really pouring. That's going to be the case really all throughout the day, even into tomorrow as well, possibly. So really, you want to keep a lookout, and we're seeing cars drive by, water spraying as they're driving by us. So even if it looks like it's not that much or that it's not raining that heavily, these roads are very wet today, Drew.
All right, Thomas Schultz covering roads all throughout the area for us this morning in Drive 8. All right, let's talk about the Portland Bureau of Transportation issuing a travel advisory for today while also sharing tips for how to best deal with the rain on and off the road. Libby Dowsett joins us live at Gabriel Park with more on this. Libby?
Hey Drew, we're here at the Sandpit Station at Gabriel Park, and we've figured out over here, this is the funnel. Come over here, get your bag. They have bags on hand here. Put it under, fill it up, and now that the sun is up, we're seeing another shovel here. So there is a small shovel here, but they say, the city of Portland says to bring your own shovel. Now, with all the rain that's been going on, they are warning people to watch out for conditions that may be dangerous. Flooding in places you may not expect. Dylan Rivera with PBOT predicts standing water and flooding plus wind bringing down trees. Southeast Portland's Johnson Creek is already on the rise. That's a common problem area they keep an eye on. And we're also seeing a lot of brush down on the roads as PBOT crews brace for landslides around the area.
If there are landslides that block a roadway, especially at night or early in the morning before dawn, our first response will be, if it's blocking or threatening a roadway, we're going to close the road.
Yeah, as for being proactive, they say to clear the storm drains around your house. Of course, come to the sand areas to fill up those bags to protect your home. You can see the water is pooling right here. It's going right into this park, and if you can see behind me, pooling water is the name of the game today as it adds up over the hours, Drew.
All right, Libby Dowsett live for us there at Gabriel Park in Southwest Portland. PGE says its crews are ready to respond to power outages today.
For the next few days, it's really kind of everybody is just getting ready. And when I say getting ready, I mean staging extra materials, power poles, cables, things like that. Making sure the crew manning rosters are staffed up and ready to go.
PGE, if you didn't know, has its own team of meteorologists who specifically predict weather impacts to the power grid so they can better prepare their crews for outages and other issues. Speaking of which, we're going to take a look at this morning's power outage maps right now. PGE currently reporting 22 separate outages right now, which affects about 4,000 people in the region. Pacific Power, not too many problems at all, reporting only about 40 customers without power this morning in Oregon. With heavy rain like this, there's always concerns about trees coming down. So here's the deal. If you see a tree rotting or decaying, they say that that is definitely an indicator that it's more vulnerable to falling over. We also know that taller, skinnier trees are also more likely to fall during high wind events. So what do you do if one of your trees does fall down? Well, for starters, of course, you never want to touch a tree that has a power line on it, right? If you're looking to have a tree removed, always do your research before you make a payment. Oregon law requires that all tree service companies be licensed with the Oregon Construction Contractors Board. You can check if your tree removal company is certified on the Oregon CCC or CCB website or on the International Society of Arboricultural's website. Here's a live look now at the weather that's impacting some schools in our area. Seaside School District closed. Tillamook and Neocani school districts both running 2 hours late. Up in Washington, the Castle Rock School District also running 2 hours late. Buses in the Kelso School District are also going to run on snow routes this morning, so keep that in mind. For more school closures and delays, check out our online version of this story at kgw.com/closings. We asked our viewers to share some photos and videos of what things look like in their neighborhood. So we have a viewer named Selena who sent us a video of her front yard on this Tuesday morning. Here's a look at Selena's video. She says she's got the leaves all over the ground. Didn't pick the leaves up fast enough before the rains moved in. And we've got more viewer photos that we'd love to share throughout the morning. But you got to send them to us, of course. You can send those videos and those photos to 503-226-5088. Make sure you let us know what part of town you live in and also include your name. We have some more local headlines coming your way in just a few minutes, including details on a 15-year-old girl who was killed in a shooting in Canby, plus the latest on the federal gambling probe into high-profile figures like Terry Rozier and Blazers head coach Chauncey Billups. But we do want to get back to our KGW weather impact alert on this Tuesday morning. A live look for starters here from our Wells Fargo Skycam. Weather is the #1 story of the day. We're, of course, looking for things like flooding, landslides, and down power lines in the area. Chris McGinnis, what's the latest for us?
Well, I just checked the observation from PDX, and again, drum roll, there you go, up over 2.5 inches now, a storm total, unofficial, since the rain began early yesterday morning. Castle Rock leading the way in the observations that I've seen with up over 5 inches of rain. Vancouver, Pearson Airfield, 2.35. So atmospheric river #1 is beginning to wind down a little bit here. We may get a little lull in the action, but I wanted to point out here that this big plume of white that you see out here over the North Pacific, that's storm system #2, and that's going to pack a pretty good punch as well as that comes ashore later today. So a flood watch remains in effect for all of western Washington and most of western northwestern Oregon here through 4 o'clock on Thursday. Again, the heavy rain threat beginning to wane a little bit this morning, but it will be back later this afternoon. You need to watch out for standing water. If you live in an area that is prone to flooding, obviously you probably already know that, but areas like, Johnson Creek and the Tualatin River and the Wilson River are on the rise in response to the rain that we've seen. Okay, the good news is the rainfall intensity is beginning to dial down just a little bit. In fact, at one point this morning, in the 2 o'clock hour, PDX recorded 0.3 of an inch of rain in 1 hour. It's been raining about 0.12 to 0.15 of an inch of rain steadily since midnight. Those rates are beginning to drop, and in fact, radar coverage starting to show some breaks over the North Oregon coast. And Futurecast does want to diminish the rain a little bit late this morning, but by afternoon, the next surge of moisture is coming in, and that will begin to resaturate things, put more water on the roads, etc. The Futurecast modeling that we've been looking at this morning wants to target Southwest Washington and Western Washington for the brunt of this next bit of moisture. So that may give like the Portland, Vancouver metro area a bit of a break from the substantial heavy rain. But that said, you can see our modeling is still spitting out a solid inch to inch and a half right through the heart of the metro area, more up to the north. And obviously these bullseyes of purples and whites indicative of very heavy rainfall possible in the Cascades. Before we go, I wanted to point out one other thing. The wind last evening wasn't overly strong, but it was strong enough with those saturated soils to cause some scattered power outages. The south wind will be back this evening as that next surge of moisture comes in. So if you had lawn ornaments blown around in the wind last night, it'll likely happen again tonight. Daytime highs in the upper 50s. We may not get there until late today or tonight. 59 tomorrow, and then we finally taper off the rain late Wednesday into Thursday. And I do have a couple of dry days in my forecast for Friday and Saturday at this point. Let's get you out the door with a look at the roads. The roads are, of course, wet, really wet. Lower right-hand corner of your screen, that is the Banfield near Providence Medical Center, moving from right to left. That is a very slow inbound commute. Over on the left-hand side of your screen here, that's I-205 near Johnson Creek Boulevard. ODOT has had several reports of standing water along I-205 this morning. Your drive in from Wilsonville is up to 45 minutes. 37 minutes gets you in from Troutdale or Hillsborough. And the trip out of Clark County, both of them are slow. The I-5 commute right now, about 45 minutes from Hazeldale. Drew?
All right, thank you, Chris. Coming up on the Sunrise Show, some doorbell footage from Vancouver that shows thieves stealing a car right out of a man's driveway. We'll explain how weather was involved in this crime. That story coming up. And we also have some consumer headlines for you on this Tuesday morning. This story is about people admitting, flat out admitting, to stealing in the self-checkout line. We're going to hear why those people say they do it after this.
The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust on your time. Track how the weather will impact your day.
It's certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
Extended, continuous coverage of breaking news live from the scene.
That snowpack is still heavy.
Go deeper with in-depth interviews and exclusive reporting. All the local news you need, live or on demand. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free. weather impact alert days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with KGW and KGW Plus. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on KGW Plus. The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust. Track how the weather will impact your day. Breaking news, live from the scene. All the local news you need. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free.
It's horrible, especially here in Canby. You just don't hear of it ever.
Police in Canby are investigating after a 15-year-old was shot and killed this past weekend. They also have another teen in custody. Officers responded to gunfire at the Greenbrier Apartments on South Locust Street just after 11 o'clock Sunday night. That's where they found the 15-year-old girl who had been shot. They say she died at the scene. Police also confirmed the suspect is a 17-year-old boy who ran from the scene. He was found and arrested about 2 hours later. We talked to a woman who also lives in Canby about what happened.
I mean, what is the hope? She's gone, and that's really sad. The hope is just they don't continue, this doesn't continue.
We'll bring you updates on this investigation as soon as we learn more. Next story, caught on camera, a car stolen right out of someone's driveway in Vancouver. Doorbell camera footage shows a red car stop on the street. Someone got out and then jumped into a vehicle owned by Jeremy Haynes. Now, Haynes told us that he left his car running in his driveway to try and warm it up yesterday morning.
It never even crossed my mind that something like this would happen to me.
What thieves will do is go through neighborhoods, especially on very cold mornings, look for exhaust in the air, and if they don't see anybody in the car or around it, it's an opportunity for them to steal.
Vancouver police did find his car a few blocks away, and Haynes told us that the thief went through the glove box and the console, but they didn't take, he said, anything that was too valuable. Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier pleaded not guilty to federal charges that allege he was part of an illegal gambling operation. Rozier is accused of using inside information to tip off gamblers during a 2023 NBA game when he was still with the Charlotte Hornets. His case is part of a major federal probe that's implicated dozens of high-profile figures, including Blazers head coach Chauncey Billups. Billups remains on leave from the team while also pleading not guilty last month to conspiracy to commit wire fraud and money laundering. Back to our top headline of the morning, our KGW weather impact alert, as we take a live look from Pioneer Courthouse Square. Yep, the statue of the man holding the umbrella, the perfect picture on this very, very wet Tuesday morning. Let's get back to Chris McGinnis, who's live in the Weather Center right here. So, Chris, what do you have for us now?
He needs a rowboat in some cases. Yeah, on a serious note, of course, our atmospheric river continues. Actually, one is on the way out. The next one will be on the way in a little bit later on today. So heavier rain rates likely return later this afternoon or this evening, along with possibly a shot of some wind. Flooding, landslides all remain possible. That also means the possibility of downed trees, down power lines, etc. All of that is still on the table and in the cards. Hence the region for the KGW weather impact alert continuing into Wednesday with the heavy rain dialing back a little bit this morning, but then coming back late this afternoon and tonight. So you obviously need to watch for standing water on the roads. The possibility of power outages remains, so you need to be prepared, especially if you've maybe been in a situation where you're on a hillside, you've had downed trees before that have knocked out power. This is one of those times where you need to be prepared for that. Okay, all of that said, as we've been mentioning, the heaviest rain this morning now is beginning to dial back. We saw at one point, PDX picked up 0.3 of an inch of rain in 1 hour between 2 and 3 o'clock this morning. We picked up more than an inch of rain since midnight and about 2.5 since this event began early yesterday morning. The steady heavy rain now is beginning to dial back, and as I put radar in motion over the last 3 hours, we actually see some breaks, some flat out breaks where it is not raining along the South Washington and North Oregon coast. Not everywhere, but there are some breaks indicating that we're going to see a little lull in the action here at some point. Now, Futurecast does kind of dial it back a little bit, but that next surge of Pacific moisture is fast on the first one's heels here, and that will be coming in late this afternoon and this evening with another shot of intensifying rain and likely some gusty wind for a time as well. Now, one of the things we've been watching, this has been interesting this morning, is that our modeling continues to target western Washington, southwest Washington, but especially as you get like from Cowlitz County and points north, with maybe the focal point or the brunt of this next surge of moisture. That would be for Portland and Vancouver. That would be a bit of a break, and maybe this will pan out exactly as such. But the point is we're still getting wet, even if we're not as wet. The point is that, we've already seen a lot of rain and we've got more in the forecast. These are unofficial tallies, but since yesterday morning, Castle Rock has picked up more than 5 inches of rain in Cowlitz County. PDX at the airport now up over 2.5 inches of rain for the event and counting. There's the last little bit of the first atmospheric river, if you will. Here's the next piece that's still a deep plume of moisture here offshore that will be targeting the region later on today. And Futurecast still likes between an inch and maybe an inch and a half between Salem, Portland, and more, focusing on areas to the north up in Cowlitz County for heavier rainfall with that next round of rain. And some wind. The wind has not been an issue this morning. It was gusty out of the south last night. It'll be gusty again out of the south tonight. And it doesn't take a lot of wind on saturated soils to start bringing down trees. We've already seen that in some cases, and we will likely see more of that as this is a cumulative impact here over the next couple of days. 47 at the airport. Temperatures are actually a little cooler this morning than they were yesterday, but once the breeze turns to the south late this afternoon and this evening, the temperatures will come up. So high confidence that we once again get back into the upper 50s, which of course means snow levels in the Cascades are really, really high. It's rain in the Cascades. We've seen some rainfall tallies up over 8 inches on the slopes of Mount St. Helens early this morning, just as a storm total so far for round one. We begin to dial back the rain tomorrow, and certainly by Thursday. The landslide threat, though, will continue. The high water threat on area rivers will continue into Thursday as well. Let's get you out the door. Here's a look at the roads, and they are, yes, wet. Lots of water out there this morning. Numerous reports of standing water, specifically on I-205. ODOT's had a few of those reports throughout the morning. The northbound commute is there near Johnson Creek Boulevard over on the left-hand side of your screen. That is a slog. Right now, the inbound drive from Troutdale on Interstate 84 is just shy of 40 minutes. Your I-5 drive from Wilsonville right now, right around 40 minutes. Believe it or not, that's an improvement. And the trip from Clark County, 40 minutes on I-5 southbound from Main Street to the Fremont Bridge. We'll be right back.
KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust. Track how the weather will impact your day. Breaking news, live from the scene. All the local news you need. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free. On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with KGW and KGW Plus. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on KGW Plus.
We have now issued a weather impact alert.
We could expect conditions in some parts of our area to change drastically pretty soon, right?
And very quickly, yes.
This is significant rainfall coming our way.
You'll definitely want to be extra cautious.
Certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
We've got the potential for some tree limbs or even trees or power lines to come down.
Of course, when you hear thunder, it's always best to take cover.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stream extended coverage on KGW Plus.
Holiday season in full swing on this Tuesday morning, and we also have a live look as we continue to head down the home stretch of this year's KGW Great Toy Drive. Our toy box filling up, but we get greedy this time of the year and we want more toys. So you can help us out by donating cash online. The KGW elves will do the shopping for you. Just go to kgw.com/toy, click that donate cash button. This is a good week to give, a very good week as a matter of fact, because Great Clips is doubling all donations. You can also help us out the old-fashioned way. You can drop off new unwrapped toys at any IQ credit union, any Fred Meyer store, or any local Toyota dealership. In consumer headlines this morning, a new survey from the Federal Reserve Bank of New York shows that the number of Americans concerned about their finances is on the rise. The study found a sharp increase in the percentage of people who describe their current financial situation as either worse or much worse compared to last year. It also found a rise in people who said they don't think they could make a minimum debt payment within the next 3 months. Very interesting story here. A separate report from LendingTree found that 27% of the people involved in a recent study admitted to stealing at least one item while using the self-checkout line. When asked for a reason, people pointed to unaffordable necessities and an overall rise in prices. About 210,000 in-use power banks sold on Amazon are being recalled because of fire risks. The Consumer Product Safety Commission says the battery in the power bank can overheat and ignite, so there have already been about a dozen reports of such fires. If you have one of these power bank strips, you should stop using it and visit in-use recall page to register for a refund. Weather Impact Alert Day, our top story of the morning. Coming up in our 8:30 half hour, we're going to head back out to the roads. Drive 8 has been all over town this morning, taking a look at area roadways. We're also going to share some driving tips if you do have to head out in the rain today.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with KGW and KGW Plus. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on KGW Plus. The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust. Track how the weather will impact your day. Breaking news live from the scene. All the local news you need. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free.
We have now issued a weather impact alert.
We could expect conditions in some parts of our area to change drastically pretty soon, right?
And very quickly, yes.
This is significant rainfall coming our way.
You'll definitely want to be extra cautious.
It's certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
We've got the potential for some tree limbs or even trees or power lines to come down.
Of course, when you hear thunder, it's always best to take cover.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stream extended coverage on KGW Plus.
Good morning, I'm Drew Carney on a Weather Impact Alert Day. Some schools impacted by this morning's weather. So Seaside School District is closed today. That's number one. The Tillamook and Neahkani districts along the coast as well, running 2 hours late. Castle Rock schools in Washington are starting classes on a 2-hour delay this morning. Molalla Elementary School is closed today. Not exactly sure why, because we know all other schools in the Molalla River School District are staying open. You can find the latest on updates, school closures, and delays at kgw.com/closings. All right, Chris, what do you have for us?
You mentioned Castle Rock, one area along the I-5 corridor in Cowlitz County that's picked up unofficially 5 inches of rain. You mentioned the North Oregon coast. I've seen some reports of 6+ inches of rain since the rain began yesterday. Radar right now showing the intense of the rain, the most intense of the rain from this morning is beginning to dial down just a little bit here in the Portland metro area. So that's great news. But we still have impactful weather in terms of standing water on the roads and another shot of increasing rain and maybe some wind by late this afternoon and this evening.
8:30 half hour of the Sunrise Show on a Tuesday morning, which is also a KGW Weather Impact Alert morning. As we start this half hour with a live look from our Vancouver waterfront sky camera. This is the second Weather Impact Alert day in a row, and we will probably have another one tomorrow because of all the heavy rain and the potential for flooding in the area. Thanks for joining us here. I'm Drew Carney, and we have team coverage for you on this Tuesday. Thomas Schultz and Libby Dowsett out in the elements. Chris McGinnis, we're going to go to you first, though. Are we still looking at tomorrow as being another Weather Impact Alert day?
You know, we are. And just real quick, a good question. I do think the rainfall will be greatly diminished tomorrow morning, but the results of the rainfall that we get tonight will likely still be impactful for at least our morning commute. Area rivers are still going to be running high. The potential for slides is cumulative and sometimes delayed from when we actually get the rain. That said, we've had a lot of rain just since yesterday morning. Castle Rock unofficially leading the way here in the I-5 corridor anyway, with up over 5 inches of rain, 3 inches plus in Longview. Vancouver and Portland well over 2 inches. In fact, at the airport this morning, between 2 and 3 o'clock, the rainfall rate was 0.3 of an inch in that hour. We picked up more than an inch since midnight and more than 2.5 since the rain began yesterday morning, and we're not done. Here's a look at radar right now. The heavy rainfall rates that we've seen this morning are beginning to dial back a little bit, so that is some good news. But as you look at the radar trend here, you can actually see some breaks here out over Tillamook County, Clatsop County, and up over the Long Beach Peninsula. So that in and of itself is some good news. But our weather impact alert continues, obviously, for today and tomorrow because the heavy rain threat will be back later today. And for right now, you need to watch out for standing water on the roads. That's absolutely, we've had that all morning long. It's 47 last check at the airport with a light breeze. The breeze will eventually shift to the south later on today. And despite the fact that we have maybe a little bit of a lull in the rainfall here midday, I think the rain dials back up again as we head into the late afternoon commute and this evening, in addition to some wind. We'll walk you through all of that coming up in just a few minutes. But in terms of the impacts on the roads this morning, it's been a slogfest out there. In the upper left-hand corner of your screen is I-205 at I-5 in Tualatin. The I-5 commute is down below, moving from right to left, and that's been a really slow drive here so far this morning. At last check, I think the drive in from Wilsonville is on the order of about 40 minutes. We'll switch gears real quick and get a look at some of those drive times right now. Coming in from Wilsonville, yeah, there you go, 47 minutes now. 37 minutes to get you in on the Sunset from Hillsborough, and a quick check of the trip out of Clark County. 205, little slow. I-5, you know, take whatever your normal morning commute is and add, 15% at least. I think that's kind of what we're looking at as a general rule on the freeway system this morning. Drew?
All right, Chris, from your drive times, we're going to shift to the power outage maps for this morning. So PGE is reporting 22 separate outages right now. This is affecting just under 4,000 customers in the region. Pacific Power, much better story. They're only reporting about 40 customers without power this morning in Oregon. With that in mind, we're going to check back in with KGW's Libby Dowsett. Libby, we've been talking all morning. As far as PGE is concerned, dealing with those power outages really happens before the outages take place.
Right, Drew. They have a whole team of meteorologists whose job is to predict the impacts on the power grid and how they can avoid those problems. Because as we know, these streets around us and this parking lot can turn into a stream before you know it. And they say they've seen constant rain all morning and brush down on the roads. So crews are looking ahead at where the outages could be and their plan. Expect problems and prepare now.
We have several meteorologists on our team. Two of them are really operationally focused, and those are the ones that are talking to us about what's going on today, this week, and the impacts on our grid.
And this, as ODOT is also gearing up for potential problems. Over the last couple of weeks, crews have been driving around their Vector truck to clear roadside drains along Highway 26. It's like a huge vacuum that sucks up anything and everything from the storm. And the biggest concern may not be the flooding that we're seeing at parks like this one. It may be the landslides. Oregon has thousands of landslide areas that could be a huge risk. Drew?
All right, Libby Dowsett with the latest on power outages. Let's stay with that theme here for just a minute because PGE has some suggestions. If you do lose your power, you see those suggestions on your screen. The first thing they said was make sure your neighbors have their power or don't have their power. They want to say that it could be a personal problem or it could be a neighborhood problem. You should check that out before you do any calls. You can also check your electrical panel to see if any circuits have tripped. Now, if it is a neighborhood-wide outage, you can report those online at portlandgeneral.com, or you can call that number we have on your screen. It's 503-464-7777. From power outages to wet roadways. I mean, rain has been falling, it seems like, Thomas, wherever you've been this morning, and raining hard. You last time I checked, you were heading south on 217. I believe you were heading towards Beaverton.
That's right, Drew. Yeah, we're heading north now on 217. We're about near Washington Square Center right now, and you can see, I mean, look, everywhere we've gone for the past hour and a half, especially as we've kind of moved our way from Tualatin up toward Beaverton, traffic is getting much heavier. Of course, part of that's due to the time of day and that morning commute. Still, people are moving pretty slowly here. You can see some of that road spray from that school bus that just passed right next to us. Even though you can't really tell, it looks like a light drizzle right now. There is a lot of water on the roads everywhere around town, but especially here as well on 217 near Beaverton. In bad weather like this, PVOT's got some tips to help people stay safe we want to share with you. One of the biggest, something we got to do pretty regularly here, check those windshield wipers. You want to make sure those are in good shape. You definitely do not want things that are, subpar wipers in weather like this over the next couple of days. It's not a bad idea to get new ones if you are running into that issue with the rain that we're seeing here. You also want to check your brakes and your tires all throughout the morning. We've seen a lot of roads on the sides of interstate. We've seen a lot of cars having to brake, whether because they're running into a lane that is filled with water, or maybe another car is coming into their lane. Especially with water on the roadways, you want to make sure your brakes are in good condition. Of course, also drive slowly, as we're seeing all across town, people heeding that warning. And if you have your wipers on, you need your headlights on in Oregon as well. If your driving is impaired, your headlights do need to be on. Drivers all across the Portland metro area have been doing a pretty good job of that today as well. One thing I want to note too, if you see a road that looks flooded, do not try to move through it at all. 6 inches of water on the road, that is, can stall out a car. We saw about 3 inches earlier this morning in downtown Portland before Portland City workers with PVOT were able to fix a drain and kind of move some leaves out of the way to restore drainage to flow thoroughly there. But look, Drew, anywhere you go around town, we've seen it. It's wet. It's going to be wet all morning long. Into the evening, it's going to continue to rain. If you need to be out on the roads, drive slowly today. So far, drivers are heeding those warnings. Drew?
All right, great coverage from Drive 8 this morning, Thomas Schultz. We have some more concerns to talk about here, though. Falling trees and landslides. Both concerns as we roll through this weather impact alert day. We're showing you some video here of previous flooding in the area, but we also have some tips from experts from the Oregon Department of Geology and Mineral Industries about avoiding landslides. They say you should really be listening to avoid them because you should listen for unusual sounds that might indicate moving debris, things like trees cracking or boulders knocking together. They also say a trickle of mud or debris can sometimes predict a larger slide, and if you live near a stream or a creek, the water suddenly turning muddy can indicate debris flow that may be coming downstream soon. On this weather impact alert day, we have some school closures and delays to tell you about. Let's start in Seaside along the Oregon coast. Seaside schools closed today. Also along the coast, the Tillamook and Neocani school districts are running 2 hours late. In Washington, the Castle Rock School District also starting classes 2 hours late this morning. We just learned a few minutes ago that Molalla Elementary School is going to be closed today. We're not sure exactly why, because we do know that all other Molalla River schools are going to be open today. But again, Molalla Elementary is closed. For more on school closures and delays, you can go to kgw.com/closings. We asked for your photos this morning or your videos to see what things look like in your neighborhood. Steve sent us a picture of the Cowlitz River just south of Castle Rock. We've been talking about Castle Rock this morning, a big part of our coverage. You see the high water there. The water level, he says, is extremely high a day after heavy rain on Monday. If you want to text us photos or videos of what's happening where you live, you can use that line, or that phone number, I should say, that's right there on your screen. It's 503-226-5088. Be sure to include where you live, of course, and we also like to know the viewers' names, Chris.
Yes, and thank you, Steve, for that report from Castle Rock. Greater than 5 inches of rain unofficially is what I've seen at one of the rain gauge reports coming in northern Cowlitz County. In addition to that, I know we mentioned this briefly a few minutes ago, but I saw a report up along the south face of Mount St. Helens on one of the observations up at like 4,400 feet of 8+ inches of rain. That was like a couple of hours ago. Now, the rainfall rates are beginning to drop, and that's good news for us here in Portland. We can put this into motion over the last 3 hours. And what was just a slog. At one point, we picked up 0.3 of an inch of rain in an hour this morning, well over an inch of rain since midnight. Our storm total here at downtown Portland at our KGW News Studios is now up over 2.45. So, yeah, it's been wet, and the impactful weather continues here. The steady rain's going to dial back a little bit. In fact, it may shut off briefly. It will return, we think, later today and tonight. In fact, it may come with a burst of some heavier rain, kind of like what we saw in the wee hours of this morning, reintroducing or exacerbating the ongoing threat for flooding and landslides. And of course, with the soft, saturated soils, we get some wind coming in tonight, and that could be just enough to bring down more trees on more power lines tonight. So all of that stuff, even though we're kind of on the back edge of this first system, is still in play for today and tonight as that next phase, our second atmospheric river here, comes ashore a little bit later on this afternoon. Futurecast does show a little break in the action. The rain may not completely shut off. It may. It is a bit of what we do know is that the intensity is really going to dial back here for a little while. But heading into the afternoon, Futurecast wants to ratchet it back up again late afternoon or this evening. You can see some of those yellows and orange blobs on the map, indicative of rainfall rates that may be in excess of 1/4 to 1/3 of an inch per hour, like what we have seen from time to time across the region already with the first system. So we consider all of that in the rainfall forecast. And you can see Futurecast still gives Portland greater than an inch of rain, or, well, this doesn't necessarily fudging a little bit for left, right, east, west variance, north, south variance, and whatnot. The general theme here is at least another inch of rain, we think, with this next batch that comes in later on this evening and tonight. As we mentioned, some wind will accompany that system as well. The temperatures are cool right now, but once that system comes ashore, the winds are going to ratchet up and the temperatures will rise. So we'll be back up into the upper 50s, but maybe not until this evening. Upper 50s tomorrow. The rain begins to dial back. And even though the rain is essentially over by Wednesday and Thursday, the threat for slides continues, and obviously area rivers are still going to be very, very swollen, something that we're going to have to continue to watch. Let's get you out the door right now with a look at the roads. And the roads are, as we've been mentioning all morning, just really soggy. We're not going to do that. I'm sorry, Drew. We'll do that coming up in just a few minutes.
No worries, Chris, no worries. We're also going to cover this story in just a minute. Students, high school students in Washington County walking out of class yesterday, protesting immigration enforcement in their neighborhoods. We'll have more on that and other local headlines when Sunrise continues in 3 minutes.
Hey, every year millions of suitcases are lost. Maybe it's happened to you. It's the worst. And that's because the airlines lose a lot of luggage, but also people take the wrong suitcase home because they all look the same. That will not happen to you with Mirage luggage. You can see the bold, unique designs, unmistakable, but that's just the start of this. The exterior is durable and high quality, so this will not get damaged in transit. Plus, here are some other features that I love. This 3-dial combination lock will keep your item secure. It also has this smooth push-button telescopic handle and 4 heavy-duty spinner wheels that give you 360-degree movement. Plus, they are specially designed and engineered to glide gracefully over any surface. So you won't be walking through the airport anymore with that old suitcase you have on 2 wheels. You have Mirage now. But by the way, something else I want to show you. These heavy-duty zippers come on in here. If you're anything like me, you pack your suitcase to the gills. This will keep you protected. And inside, the smooth mesh design gives you smart organization. Plus, if you have a lack of space at home, this 3-piece set, they nest. So you only have room for the big luggage. You are all good. Plus, check out all these extra colors and prints. No matter your style, there's a design for you. Huge deal today. Normally $399.99 for the 3-piece set. Today, just $139.99, 65% off. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to shoptvdeals.com.
The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust on your time. Track how the weather will impact your day.
It's certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
Extended, continuous coverage of breaking news live from the scene.
That snowpack is still heavy.
Go deeper with in-depth interviews and exclusive reporting. All the local news you need, live or on demand. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free.
We have now issued a weather impact alert.
We could expect conditions in some parts of our area to change drastically pretty soon, right?
And very quickly, yeah.
This is significant rainfall coming our way.
You'll definitely want to be extra cautious.
It's certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
We've got the potential for some tree limbs or even trees or power lines to come down.
Of course, when you hear thunder, it's always best to take cover.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stream extended coverage on KGW+.
In Washington County, high school students walked out of class on Monday to protest local immigration enforcement. So here's a look at some of the dozens of students that walked out at Aloha High School. And here's what a few of them had to say when asked why they were demonstrating.
There's like a lot of immigrants, Mexicans, not just Mexicans, but a lot of Hispanics or like from other countries, like don't do anything and they're still getting deported for no reason.
I have a lot of Mexican friends. My friend recently got taken from ICE back in McMinnville, and same with his barber. So like, I'm just out here for that and stuff.
Students at other Beaverton School District high schools also walked out of class yesterday. New this morning, the Portland Timbers have a new front of jersey sponsor. It's Bank of America. B of A gets the honor starting next season. The team says that this partnership is going to provide some resources and opportunities for kids in sports, support local small businesses, public schools, and more. This is the first time, by the way, that Bank of America has ever been featured on a professional sports jersey, although Bank of America is already an official sponsor for next year's FIFA World Cup and U.S. Soccer. So there you go. Weather Impact Alert morning. Lots to talk about here, Chris. And one of the things people are asking is, beyond today, because we already know it's wet out there, is it going to look more of the same tomorrow morning?
You know, the model trends are pushing the brunt of this next dose of rain, this next bout of heavy rain, a little farther north. I'll show you that in just a second. I'm not sure 100% that we buy that just yet, but regardless, we still anticipate more rain and a period of steadier, heavier rain returning to the region later today. All of that said, we're beginning to dial back the first round just a little bit, and it's been quite a round. Check this out. Castle Rock up over 5 inches unofficially in the rain gauge there. Tualatin has picked up more than 3 inches. PDX, again, these numbers are unofficial since the beginning of yesterday morning, but over 2.5 inches. We picked up about 2.45 here at our KGW News Studios in downtown Portland since the rain began yesterday morning. So yes, the weather impact alert continues. Flood watch continues across, well, basically everywhere shaded in green through 4 o'clock on Thursday. Even as the rain shuts off, area rivers are still going to be on the rise here for a little while. Okay, so we get a break in the steady rain this morning, but we do expect steadier, heavier rain to return later this afternoon. While you're on the roads now, you need to watch out for areas of standing water, and then we'll, again, be on the lookout for that as we go into this afternoon and tonight as the next round moves in. The real soaking rain that we had this morning, again, the intensity is beginning to dial back just a little bit. We can see some breaks in the radar coverage now out over Tillamook and Clatsop County and heading up over the South Washington coast. So a sign that, again, even if the rain doesn't completely shut off, we're probably going to dial back the intensity significantly here over the next little while. Now we kind of turn our attention to this. To Drew's bigger question is, what does it look like later today and tonight? There's the next big plume of really moisture-rich air. Models continue targeting the region with that. I'll show you where that makes landfall here in just a second. But one other point I want to make is that as that system comes ashore, the south breeze is going to return. It was kind of gusty yesterday. We saw wind gusts on the order of 30, I think 33 miles an hour at PDX. And while that in and of itself doesn't seem overly strong, on top of saturated soils, weakened trees could easily come down. That means power outages are still possible. We've had numerous this morning. There could be more again with another round of wind and rain coming our way tonight. Even if the wind isn't that strong, it may be strong enough on top of the really wet soil. Okay, let's get a look at Futurecast. Again, dialing back on the intensity this morning, but Futurecast doesn't really completely shut the rain off. What I did want to point out, though, is even as that next plume comes ashore here, it could be a very wet evening and late evening commute. But then it begins to target areas to the north, up into Cowlitz County, and heading north up towards Olympia and Seattle for the bulk of the heavy rain overnight tonight. If that happens, the Portland-Vancouver metro area may dodge a hard hit. But we're not far from it. And mind you, we pointed out that Castle Rock is already seeing close to 5 inches of rain. Look at this. Our modeling trying to suggest that Kelso is on the order of 2+ inches of rain. So maybe northern Cowlitz County is the area that really gets hit. we're still looking for some decent rain yet to fall between today and tonight down towards the Salem area. Okay, it's 47 right now at the airport. Believe it or not, with a north breeze, temperatures have cooled off a bit, and it may take a while for the temperatures to go back up. Maybe not until this evening, but they will when that south breeze kicks in. I've got us at 57 later today. A live look at the roads. They are slow. I-5 from Clark County, 40 minutes. I-205, about 25 minutes to get you on from Patton Parkway down to the Banfield. There's a quick look at the freeway drive, and it is a slog out there on wet roads this morning for sure. Let's give you a quick check of the trip over near Sunnyside Road. Again, I-205, we've had numerous reports of standing water being reported to ODOT. Right now, your drive from Wilsonville, just shy of 45 minutes. Drew?
All right, Chris, thank you for that. From your traffic report, we turn to the birthday report this morning. We've got 5 on the board, starting with Isaiah. Got the mouse ears on for birthday number 7. Happy birthday, Isaiah. Roland's up next, celebrating 10 years old today. Then we've got Byron, 38 years young. Happy birthday, Byron. Jeannie makes the list, turning 65 today. Happy birthday, Jeannie. And then Tom, with the silent H, is 61 years young today. Happy birthday, Tom. If you have a birthday shout out you want to share on the air, just send us an email. That address is birthdays@kgw.com.
The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust on your time. Track how the weather will impact your day.
Certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
Extended, continuous coverage of breaking news, live from the scene.
That snowpack is still heavy.
Go deeper with in-depth interviews and exclusive reporting. All the local news you need, live or on demand. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free. The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust. Track how the weather will impact your day. Breaking news, live from the scene. All the local news you need. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free. On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with KGW and KGW Plus. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on KGW Plus.
Well, there's your 7-day forecast. The rain actually beginning to dial back a little bit, but the impacts are still there. We've got standing water on the roadways. Obviously, area river is still on the rise. The potential for slides, rock slides, mudslides continues into the day today and tomorrow. Rainfall amounts may not be as significant late today and tonight, but still enough to continue warranting an alert for a little while. Daytime highs in the upper 50s the next few days. The roads this morning have been, well, they've been soaked, and they are still soaked, and they are slow. There's a look at the freeway drive out there this morning. Right now, you're tripping from Clark County up to about 40 minutes to get you in from Main Street to the Fremont Bridge. Right now, Wilsonville to downtown, averaging just shy of 45 minutes on I-5 northbound.
Well, the spotlight has been on Chris McGinnis for most of this morning because he's been handling our weather and our traffic reports since 5 o'clock a.m. Hey, you're back tomorrow morning. No Rod Hill yet, so more Chris for you tomorrow. But before we say goodbye today, we have this live look from Drive 8. Yeah, one of our crews, the Thomas Schultz, Eric Patterson crew, has been out in Drive 8 all morning long as well, checking out area roadways. One thing I can tell you for absolute certain, every time that we have gone to their shots since 5 o'clock, those windshield wipers have been moving at a fast clip. So we appreciate everyone who tuned in this morning on this Weather Impact Alert Day. Our day-long coverage will continue with another live newscast coming up here on KGW Plus at noon. Until then, have a good morning. Be safe out there on the roads, and we'll check back in with you in just a couple of hours.